Past the Plants, and today we are going to make a plant-based vegan cheeseburger soup. It is all whole foods, it is all oil-free, and it tastes absolutely amazing. So let's get started. We are going to first make the vegetable meat substitute, which will serve as our ground beef. Then to make it cheesy, we are going to use my protein-packed vegan cheese sauce, and then we'll combine those two to make the most delicious soup, but we'll top it with all of the traditional cheeseburger toppings, like onions, tomato, pickles, and of course some bacon, but vegan style. All right guys, so let's get started. First we're going to make the vegetable meat substitute, and we start with cauliflower. So I've got my bony knife, which is what I use for cauliflower, but you could use any sharp knife that you have. And I'm going to kind of dig in here, cut the core of the cauliflower out by going around in a circle, but kind of digging the tip of the knife in, twisting it in to kind of do it like a cone shape inside to get just the core, so we're not getting into the actual of the bits of the cauliflower. So here, see, I've kind of just de-stemmed it. Toss that away. Whoa, guys, I just missed a step. An important step. This is what can happen to you. First, I actually need to pulse the pepitas and the sun-dried tomatoes in the food processor. Whoopsie. We'll do that first. So we've got a cup of raw pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds. They're nut-free, so if you have an allergy issue, these are great to use. So I'm going to put these in here with the S-blade of the food processor. And then we have these sun-dried tomato little julienne strips, about a quarter cup of those, third a cup. And then I'm just going to pulse those together until they're a nice fine crumb. And now we can do the cauliflower. Okay, so we'll get that going. Woo, fly away cauliflower. As much as we can fit in there, still being able to close the lid. And now we'll move on to the mushrooms. So I've already stemmed these and cleaned them dry. And I just like to chop them up a little bit so that they're not big, long, stringy pieces. And now we have our garlic cloves. I'm just gonna peel those real quick with my hand. Yep, no weirdness going on with this one. In you go. Okay, now we'll do the onion. I like to use white onion, but you can use yellow or red or whatever you want. And lastly, I do about a cup of chopped carrots, about 2 carrots. Also do this just like the onions and mushrooms, where it's chopped up pretty small so that you don't get really big long shreds when you're using the shredding attachment. So I've got all the ground vegetables right here. I'm just gonna add those to the pot. Whew. Okay, and then this is a lot, so it'll probably take about 10 to 12 minutes before it all cooks out. You're gonna stir it quite a bit, and then you'll know that it's cooked when you don't see any moisture collecting on the bottom of the pot, and all of the vegetables have kind of reduced in volume and they're nice and tender, and the cauliflower doesn't look white anymore. So we'll get that going and be back to season it up. Okay, so now we're going to add the pepita and sun-dried tomato mixture. And we'll just kind of stir to kind of absorb the pepitas and the tomatoes and any residual moisture from the vegetables, and that will make it a cohesive kind of vegetable ground meat. Okay, so I'm just gonna set about half of this aside to use for another time. And again, in the description below, you can see lots of different ideas and other videos where we've put this recipe to good use. I would absolutely recommend freezing it if you don't have a plan for it right away. It will keep really well for you. Okay, so we have plenty left here in the pan for the soup, and I'm going to set this aside. So I'm going to use a tablespoon of soy sauce. And then, this is gonna sound weird, 2 tablespoons of steak sauce, which is like, what? But steak sauce, ironically enough, almost every brand I've ever seen is naturally vegan. So we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of steak sauce. And so I'm just gonna get that coat in. It's going to absorb some of that flavor. So now it's ready to make it the cheeseburger soupy part. So we've got our vegan cheese sauce that we made earlier, the protein packed cheese sauce. So we're just going to add this beautifulness in. This looks so good. So this is going to be too thick to eat as a soup, just like this. It looks like it would make a pretty awesome queso dip though, like one of those meaty queso dips. Oh. So I'm going to add in about 2 to 3 cups of water. I'll just kind of gauge it based on how thin it looks. So I don't want to make it too thin because then it won't taste good. So we'll add that in. You could also use vegetable broth or like vegan beef bouillon cubes or that kind of stuff. But I think it'll be just fine with water. Starting with 2 cups there. Okay, so we're just gonna let this simmer away for about 5 minutes or so, just until all the flavors come together and it's all heated through, and then we will dish it up and serve it. Okay, so this is the part that makes it actually taste ultimately like a cheeseburger. When you have all the flavors together is when you add some of the toppings that you would normally put on a cheeseburger. So I didn't do lettuce because I thought that might kind of like be a little weird, but gotta have some bacon. So this is my easy tofu bacon. I've just made it in small little bits. So I'm gonna add a little bit there. Oh, that looks good. And it also provides a little bit of texture, but this tastes awesome without it. You don't have to have it at all. And then a little bit of onion flavor. You could just do chopped onion if you wanted to. I thought it would make it a little bit prettier to have these green onions. So of course pickles. Come on, you gotta have pickles. Unless you don't like them, and then don't have them. Okay, and then some tomato, and these are from my garden. Oh man, now we're getting somewhere. This looks so good. Okay, so this is the ultimate test, is the tasting. So we've got it all beautified now. It's time to dig in, try to get a bite of everything at once. I think I got it. Man, that is really good. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but beep beep. Guys, plant-based food doesn't have to be boring or difficult to make. This is neither. And I hope that you'll give it a try. And in the description is a link to the full recipe, as well as all the other ways you can put vegetable meat substitute to good use, and a link to the protein-packed cheese sauce recipe and video as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you're always in the know whenever a new plant-based recipe drops into your feed. Have a great day, guys. Bye.